You are listening to 600 Second Saga. Today's feature is The Witch in the Story by Fanni Sütő. The witch could almost feel the hunters panting on the back of her neck. Heavy boots stomped on her porch, and impatient arrows trembled in the quiver. She stared into the orange flames and seriously contemplated giving up. The log on the fire slowly turned black as the teeth of flames bit golden runes into its body. On the pyre, she would be like that log, peacefully sleeping, warm in her heart at last. Her soul would escape its cage and soar into the sky. These were nothing but idle fantasies. She couldn't run away from her fate, and she couldn't hide for much longer either. She wanted to stay silent, but laughter escaped her. It wasn't an old hag's crooked cackle, but a young maid's silvery giggle. It came from an old memory. On a lavender-scented summer day, when Hecate was still an apprentice, she wandered into the labyrinth of the library. She'd never felt so happy before. The smell of mahogany and parchments, the paintings on the walls, and the books whispering about great deeds, dark secrets, and the promise of immortality. She was naive back then, a girl of 17. What did she know about the treacherous workings of the world? She stroked the velvety spines of books and marveled at the golden-lettered tiles. She was looking for something, following the call of a sweet voice whispering in her ears. "Come to me, dear Hecate, and I will unravel the mystery of your life and your future." Hecate found the book in the furthest corner of the library. It was sitting alone on the shelf. Its title read, "The Grim Tales of the Truth Brothers." She sat down, leaning against the bookshelf. As she turned the first page, she heard a frantic whispering, begging her to close the book and run away. But Hecate laughed at the voices. Reading has never done anybody any harm. She was captivated by the tale about a beautiful princess, her skin as white as snow and her lips as red as blood, springing from your fingers if the needle of a spinning wheel stings you, or as red as the coat of a girl taking crispy bread and white wine to her grandmother, and doesn't notice the danger eyeing her from the shadows. The words reached out to Hecate, wrapping themselves around her as the tendrils of a briar rose, or the sun-yellow hair of the girl in the tower. Hecate's heart fluttered because she felt her soul was there in the stories. She was to be the princess rising from the ashes to wear dresses of glass and shoes of lace, or to be woken by the first kiss of a prince. The books behind her screamed and screeched, but Hecate didn't hear them. On the last page, she found a letter talking about her fate that she sealed by reading the book. Hecate wanted to run, but the tendrils of the stories had twisted around her wrist, ankle, and neck. She was lured into a trap by promises of happiness, riches, and royal marriage. "We promised you nothing, silly witch, just a role in the tales. Your role you shall have. Nothing more, nothing less," the pages whispered. Hecate found herself in front of an aquarelle castle in a black wedding dress, holding the hand of an old king and feeling the hate burning her from the eyes of his motherless daughter. Hecate wanted to love the child, but her words were stuffed into her mouth and her movements were pulled by strings. She tried to kill the girl with an apple, but she failed. The witch hunters chased her, but before their first arrow hit, Hecate dived into the book. She was inside and outside, like in a Chinese box of stories and illusions. When she opened her eyes, she wore a rich silver fur and lived in the forest. She was a witch and she was a wolf. She lurked among the trees, watching a girl and her grandmother. She wanted to like the old lady because she reminded her of her grandmother, who she'd never see again. But hunger roared in her mouth and her movements were pulled by instincts. She tried to kill the old lady with her teeth, but she failed. The hunter threw Hecate into a river, but she managed to open the book before water rushed into her lungs. She took a deep breath, and the sticky, sweet smell of gingerbread filled her nose. She saw a boy and a girl wandering in the forest. She wanted to love them, because they were driven away from home just like she was. But her words were baked for her, and her movements were pulled according to ancient recipes. She tried to kill them with her sweets, but they ran away and the witch hunters were on her trail. They were already rattling the lock. The witch had no time to lose. She had to climb into the book again and again to play the roles she'd been given. The lock fell to the floor and the biscuit door flung open. The witch left a message on the floor with melted chocolate before she threw herself into the pages. The leader of the hunters burst in with the bow ready in his hand. The witch had disappeared, but there was a sweet-smelling scribble on the floor. "Burn the book." An ancient volume lay next to it. Her codex of witchcraft, he thought. But when he looked at the cover, he saw a young girl of midnight hair reading, her back to a bookshelf, the magical touch of words entangling her. "This is beautiful," he sighed. "Of course the old hag wants it destroyed. But why should I? It might explode if I throw it in the fire. Who knows? No. I'll take it home to my daughter, my little princess. She loves presents. Anyway, reading has never done anybody any harm." This was The Witch in the Story by Fanni Sütő. The story was originally published in Enchanted Conversations, a fairy tale magazine. Fanni Sütő writes poetry, short stories, and a growing number of novels in progress. She publishes in English and Hungarian and finds inspiration in reading, paintings, and music. She writes about everything which comes in her way or goes bump in the night. Her heaven would be a library with an endless supply of coffee lattes, cupcakes, and Doctor Who episodes. She tries to find the magical in the everyday and likes to spy on the secret life of cities and their inhabitants. Previous publications include The Casket of Fictional Delights, Tincture Journal, Enchanted Conversations, and Funded Publications. She is very happy to do collaborations, art exchanges, and cross-art projects, so if you're interested in such things, please get in touch. Find more on her website, Ink, Maps, and Macaroons, or on Twitter. Check our show notes for links. Music is provided by Mads. Learn more about 600 Second Saga, our authors, how to submit your flash fiction, and how to support the podcast in the show notes. This has been Mariah Avix and 600 Second Saga.